The story of the new year. It was the 1st of January, and a terrible fall of snow was pelting down and whirling through the streets and lanes. The roof of the houses were covered with large white mess, and it lay in a white heaps on the window sills. Everybody seemed to be in a great hurry. They ran jostled against each other, fell into each other's arms, holding fast for a moment as long as they could stand safely. Coaches and horses looked as if they had been frosted with sugar. The footmen stood with their backs against the carriages so as to turn their faces from the wind. Everybody looked cold, and everybody was cold. But at last the storm abated and narrow path was soon swept clean in front of the horse houses, and when two persons met in this path, both would stand still, for neither liked to step aside in the deep snow. There they would stand for a few minutes, and then, as if by tacit consent, they each sacrificed a leg and buried in the deep snow and passed on. Soon stops of children were seen to issue from the door, away off, unmuffled up in warm cloaks and furs, dragging their sleds after them, and so joyous and happy it made one feel warm to look at them. Towards evening the winds ceased to blow. The sky looked so loftily and transparent, while the stars shone with new brightness and purity. The frozen snow crackled underfoot and was quite firm enough to bear. Sparrow who hopped upon it in the morning. Down they searched for a food in the path which had been swept, but there was little food to be found, and they were terrible cold. Twit, 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 said one cold little fellow to another one. They call this New Year, but I think this is worse than the old one. We might just as well have kept the old year. I am quite unhappy and have a right to be so. Yes, you have, and yet the people can about and fired off guns, shouted and rung bells to users in the new year. Said I, little shivering sparrow. They threw things against the doors and were quite beside themselves with joy because the old year had disappeared. I was glad too, because I suppose the warm weather, at least warm days, would come. But my hopes have come to nothing. It freezes harder than ever. I think mankind have made a big mistake in reckoning the time. That they have said an old wise looking sparrow with a white tap note. They have something they call a calendar. It's in an invitation of their own, and everything must be arranged according to it. But it won't do when spring. But when will spring come? Asked they all. It will come when the storm returns, but he is very uncertain and seldom visit the city. So the people heard know nothing about it in the country. They have more knowledge. Shall we fly away there and wait? We shall be neither spring certain. That may be all very well, said another sparrow, who had been hopping about for a long time, chippering but not saying anything of any consequence. But I have found a few comforts here in town which I am afraid I would miss out in the country. Here in the neighborhood lives a good kind family who has been so sensible as to place to or three flowers pots against the wall in the courtyard, so that the opinions are all turned inward and the bottom of each points outward. No flaw away were brought up there, good people. Please the little children very much to strew bread symbols for us, and so we have food and out to be very thankful and consider ourselves well provided for. So I think we will stay where we are even if spring does come sooner in the country, said the old sparrow, and the other sparrows spread their wings and flew away to the country. Now the little sparrows had never been in the country except in the summer, and they supposed the fields were always green, the sun always shining, and the clear brooks running full of water, and great was their surprise and disappointment to find it even colder by a few degrees than into town. The sharp winds blew over the snow covered fields. The farmer, wrapped in a warm clothing, sat in the slide and beat his arms across his chest to keep off the cold. The horse ran still. They smoked and frightened the poor little sparrow as they sat dolefully on the top rain of the fawns. Then they hopped down into the wheel ruts, hoping to find something to eat, and shivering, crying, "Tweet, tweet, when will spring come?" It was very long time, very long indeed, sounded over the field from the nearest snow-covered hill, and the little sparrows hopped on the fence, ran, and looked over towards the hill to see who it that had spoken, and there sat the wonderful old man, a high heap of snow, regardless of wind and weather. He had a pale face, large clean blue eyes, and long white hair, which their wind played hide and seek with, and he was dressed in a isle. "Who can that old man be?" asked the sparrows of an old raven, who also sat on a fence. "Winter rules here still, and he makes you fairly shiver, little ones, does he not? There, did I not tell you so?" said the white-top-knot sparrow. "The calendar is only an invitation of man's, and they know nothing about nature. They ought to have asked some of the birds, as they know all about such things." And down the hopped into the ruts again, saying, "Tweet, tweet, tweet." The poor little sparrow waited 1 week, then another, and out there would surely freeze before spring would come. The forest looked dark, the lakes of frozen still. It looked like a sheet of lead, and over the land hump-dump icy midst large black clouds about a silence. Gold the white from of old winter sat there still, but the sun began to shine and danced and sparkled over his dress of icicles until it finally disappeared. Patches of green grass appeared here and there, and these were soon covered with the sparrows saying, "Tweet, tweet, tweet." The fresh green moss gleams on the trunk of the trees, and from the south came the first two storks flying through the air, and on the back of each sat a lovely little child. They greeted the earth with a kiss and whatever they placed their feet. His breast, and as they did so, they were involved in a deep mist, dark and heavy, that closed over them a veil. The wind arose with a mighty rustling and cleared the mist away. Then the sun shone out warmly. Winter had vanished, and the two beautiful children of spring year. "This is really a new year," cried the sparrow. "Now we shall be happy and warm once again more."